Okay, Chairman, we're now live.
Thank you very much. And good evening, everybody. Welcome to a virtual meeting of the Cabinet of the London Borough of Hillingdon. This meeting is being broadcast simultaneously on Council's YouTube channel, Hillingdon, London. My name is Councillor Ian Edwards, and I am the leader of the Council and Chairman of this meeting. Before we get into the business, some online housekeeping. Before we start, can I please ask that everybody make sure that their mobile phones are on silent, that you remain muted, your microphone remains muted, we're not speaking, and only unmute to speak. And as Chairman, I will call on you to speak during the meeting. If any Cabinet member leaves the virtual meeting partway through for a period of time, for example, because of a lost connection, I will continue the meeting unless we are not quorate, which is 3 councillors. Before we move on to the agenda, I would like to do a roll call of those Cabinet members present to confirm your attendance to those watching online. Would you please indicate your presence when I say your name? Councillor Bianco.
Present.
Thank you. Councillor Mills.
Yes, I'm present.
Thank you. Councillor Goddard.
Present.
Thank you. Councillor Palmer.
I'm present.
Thank you. Councillor O'Brien.
Yes, present.
Councillor Lavery.
Present.
Councillor Riley.
Thank you, Leader.
And Councillor Flynn.
Yes, I'm present.
Thank you. We also have members of the Executive Scrutiny Committee in the virtual meeting who will remain silent to listen to Cabinet proceedings. Their attendance as observers will be recorded by the Democratic Services in the minutes. We will now move to the agenda. Apologies for absence. Item 1.
Chairman, all members are present.
Thank you very much, Mark. Item 2, declarations of interest in matters coming before this meeting. Councillor Lavery.
Leader, I need to declare a non-pecuniary interest in item 5 as the Chair of Governors at Ruislip Gardens School.
Thank you very much. Colleagues, are there any other declarations of interest? I see no indication and take silence as there are none. Item 3, to receive and agree the minutes of the last meeting. I shall take the minutes as agreed unless there are any comments. No comments being made, those minutes are agreed. Item 4, this is to confirm that there are 3 public reports on the agenda tonight and 2 reports in private. We will break the link between parts 1 and part 2. We will now turn to part 1, the public part of the meeting, and this is agenda item 5, the proposed changes to the admission criteria for community schools. Councillor O'Brien.
Sorry, thank you, Leader. Agenda item 7, agenda item 5, the proposed changes to the admissions criteria for community schools, returns to this evening's agenda, having been previously raised at last September's Cabinet, whereby the Cabinet agreed to consult on the changes to the Hillingdon's community school admissions arrangements. This evening we have in front of us a comprehensive report following the consultation, and the recommendations are set out on page 16 of the paper agenda and page 19 of the electronic agenda if you're looking at it on screen. The recommended changes to the school admissions criteria contained in the report supports the aim that all children in Hillingdon can be afforded a local school place as close to home as possible, and ensures the best use of the investment the council has made to expand primary schools across the borough. The proposed changes to the admissions criteria are on page 18 on the paper and 21 electronically, and are as follows: to remove the nodal point as an additional measuring point for Deansfield Primary School, that children of staff are to be awarded a higher priority than pupils living nearest the school within the priority distance radius. This is for the recruitment and retention of staff where there is a demonstrable skills shortage. The removal of psychological from the medical criteria and replace it with social. This change enables schools to be consistent with the current Department for Education Schools Admissions Code document. And finally, to reduce the published admissions numbers for Ruislip Gardens Primary School from 90 to 60. So that is a reduction of a 3-form of entry school to a 2-form of entry school. All the changes will be effective from September 2022. And I would add that these changes fall within the council's statutory responsibilities to secure sufficient school places for children resident in Hillingdon. I therefore move.
Thank you, Councillor Ryan. Are there any other speakers on this matter? There are no indications of that. Are those four recommendations agreed? I will take no comment as agreement. They are agreed. Thank you very much. We will turn to agenda item 6, the Better Care Fund Section 75 agreement. Councillor Palmer.
Thank you, Leader. As you've just said, this is the Better Care Fund Section 75 agreement. The Better Care Fund is a mandatory process through which the Council and Hillingdon Clinical Commissioning Group budgets are pooled and then reallocated on the basis of an approved plan intended to achieve closer integration of health and social care activities. In Hillingdon, the BCF has provided a catalyst for the development of strong working relationships between the council and health and care partners, which has been critical in supporting the excellent local response to the pandemic. This strong relationship has allowed the council to make available a 9-bed respite facility and up to 18 extra care flats to facilitate step down from hospital and step up for people living in the community to avoid unnecessary admission, including of COVID positive people, alleviating some of the pressure on the NHS during this dangerous time. One of the consequences of the pandemic has been the delay to the publication of the government's Better Care Fund requirements, which only happened just before Christmas. In anticipation of this, officers and partners have developed a plan to meet local needs and priorities, and the intention is to enter into a formal agreement that will give legal effect to the arrangements within the plan, including those about financial contributions. Our access to £7 million from the Clinical Commissioning Group to support adult social care, as well as an additional £12 million from the Ministry of Housing, Communities and Local Government for Disabled Facilities grants and the Improved Better Care Fund is conditional on us entering into a Section 75 agreement with the Clinical Commissioning Group. The recommendation will enable us to comply with national requirements, and I so move.
Thank you very much, Councillor Palmer. Any other colleague wish to speak on this matter? There are no indications of doing so. I would just like to say a well done to both partners, that's the local authority and the local health partners, for coming together with such a large Better Care Fund. 103 million is significantly above the minimum required. In fact, it's 3 times the size of the minimum requirement. And that, for me, shows the scale of our ambitions as joint partners to deliver the sort of health services that our communities need. So I commend this. Colleagues, is that single agreement agreed? In the absence of comment, I will take it as agreed. Thank you. That item is approved. We will move on to agenda item 7, the monthly council budget monitoring report, month 8. And together with an addendum. Councillor Goddard.
Thank you very much, Leader. As you say, this is the Council's budget monitoring report for the 2021 financial year to month 8, which is to November 2020. The report highlights an underspending on the year-to-date position of £3.3 million, and that represents a small improvement of just £33,000 from our month 7 position. If we look at the budget pressures which have been applied to us in respect of the pandemic, thus far we have incurred £32.1 million, which consists of a combination of lost revenues and additional costs. And 30.2 million of that cost has fallen into the current financial year. Yet I must emphasise that all of those pressures are funded fully by central government. Clearly, we would have an expectation that further costs will be met from central government. However, we are carrying 9.1 million of earmarked reserves, which are available to cover any residual costs which may fall back upon us. If we look at our balanced budget for the 2021 financial year, there was a provision for the achievement of savings of 6.4 million against our cost budget. Thus far, we have achieved 3.6 million of those cost savings. The balance are largely deferred as a result of the pandemic. We expect those to roll in large measure over into the following financial year. This shortfall will be covered by the central government funding of the pandemic costs. If we look at our 2021 budget, that anticipated general balances at the end of the year as amounting to 27.9 million. The latest outturn forecast now sees this as turning out at 31.2 million. I therefore move the recommendations which are set out on pages 39 to 40 of the paper report accompanying this meeting. These are recommendations 1 to 9.
And also the two on the addendum paper as well?
I didn't know, Leader, whether you wanted to take the 1 to 9 first and then come to the addendum. Okay, I'll tell the yeah. Okay. So we do have additional addenda. First, which is the appointment of 3 councillors to the shareholder committee of Hillingdon First Limited, and so that is Councillor Edwards to be the chairman of the shareholder committee, Councillor Bianco to be the vice chairman, and myself to be a member of that committee. We then have recommendation 11, which seeks to confirm the appointment of Councillors Lavery and Cawthorne to the joint committee of the London Housing Consortium. I so move those recommendations.
Thank you, Councillor Garland. Anybody else wish to speak on this matter?
Chairman, Councillor Bianco has raised his hand.
Oh, sorry, Councillor Bianco, I didn't see that.
No, he's fine now.
Sorry, no intention. Thank you.
Thank you. That's okay. So in the absence of anybody speaking, I take the 9 recommendations on the agenda paper and the 2 additional recommendations on the addendum as agreed. In the absence of comment, those items are agreed. Right, thank you very much. That completes part 1 of the meeting. If we could break the link and move to part 2. And Mark, if you could confirm that nobody else will be online when we move into part 2, I'd be grateful.
Absolutely, Chairman. If member can stay on mute while I cut the live feed. Thank you.